All right, one last thing here, okay? Reconstruction is defeated. The old regime is kind of back, and the Supreme Court hears a few cases where it does not go in the favor of the black people. United States versus Reese in Kentucky, and United States versus, I believe it's pronounced Crookshanks, which is from Louisiana. The Supreme Court votes to weaken blacks' ability to exercise their voting rights. They're saying that the 15th Amendment does not give the right to suffrage of everyone. It just prevents states from giving preference to one citizen over another on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. And then Crookshanks strikes down that Enforcement Act of 1870, declaring it unconstitutional on the grounds that due process and equal protection clauses apply to state-imposed actions, not those of individual citizens. So by 1876, most black men have been effectively disenfranchised. They are denied the ability to exercise their right to vote. They have to pay a poll tax, and they're sharecroppers, so they can't pay that poll tax. Or they had to pass a literacy test, but whoever's giving the test gets to determine what literacy level you're passing. They had to be able to vote only if their grandfather was allowed to vote. And if you were enslaved, your grandfather wasn't allowed to vote, therefore you can't vote. That's where we get the idea of a grandfather clause. So instead of taking away their right to vote, they say, no, they have the right to vote. You're just taking away their ability to exercise that, which is just as bad. Because again, if you can't vote, you can't really do much. So for white Americans, Reconstruction is tragic. It is just this tragic era full of problems and pitfalls, and the only way it can be fixed is by a new and unequal racial order. We need to get some order back into the country. Whereas for African Americans, Reconstruction failed on a whole different level, right? For 10 years, they saw for the first time freedom and civil rights. And then by 1876, they're back to where they started from. They're not legally enslaved, but they are enslaved by law. They are enslaved by practices. They are kept subordinate through the fear of violence and retribution through white supremacy and racial profiling. And now this color line is obvious. There is no question, right? It's not about anything other than race. And black Americans do not give up their fight for freedom. They are going to continue to fight for freedom. It just means freedom of a different kind. And that is the end of our Civil War unit, with one last fun little fact, because let's end this on an uplifting note, is during all of this, in 1867, over on the other side of the world, Russia decides that they got to get rid of some land. Okay? They have this chunk of land. It's not doing much. Fur production has been reduced. This area is worthless to them. And they think that, you know what, if we could just sell this land off to the United States, it's much closer to the United States. They can have it. If they can sell this land to us, then it will strengthen the U.S. fight against the British. Because we're not fighting with the British, but we are becoming quickly a rival of a world power. And so Britain and Russia are also rivals. If Russia can sell us this land, then it will kind of, cause some problems with Britain there. And that's what we love. So in 1867, Secretary of State William Seward negotiates a deal with Russia to buy this chunk of land for $7.2 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's actually not. This is considered the biggest mistake the government could make at the time. It is made fun of all the time. It is called Seward's Folly. He spent $7.2 million on this useless piece of tundra way up north. It's covered in ice. It's covered in snow. It's cold. Who cares? But Seward believes that there's more to this land than what we're seeing, and he thinks that the land is full of natural resources and is well worth the money. And it turns out that he is correct, because once Americans start heading out to this brand new land that they've bought up in that Yukon territory, they find oil, they find gold, they find salmon, and it turns out that the purchase of Alaska is going to be one of the greatest deals in American business since the Louisiana Purchase. So high five to William Seward. High five to us for finishing Unit 5. And we will be moving on to Unit 6, and maybe next time I make these videos, I will not do it after work so that they are a little bit more coherent. And any other questions about Reconstruction, you know, or the Civil War, but Reconstruction especially, revisit these two books. This one covers all history. This is Reconstruction forward, and we will continue forward. So keep an eye out for APUSH in 10, and I will see you guys later.